We have a beautiful, interesting story from the Holy Gospel today. It has many deep, meaningful elements, and one of the interesting elements, it shows that God has very good and a subtle sense of humor, because the story of today happened after the feeding of the crowds, and Jesus made the disciple. He made them go ahead of him, and he told them he was going to catch up with them. And how did he catch up with them? He came walking on the water. I think that's really very funny. God and water are tightly connected from the very beginning and throughout the entire Holy Bible. The Spirit of God was hovering over the waters, says the Holy Bible, from the very first line in Genesis chapter 1, verse 2. There are plenty of stories in the Holy Bible about the waters where God's sovereignty is manifested. The voice of the Lord over the waters. The voice of the Lord is powerful, says Psalm 29, verse 2. God saved his people through the parting of the waters in the Red Sea. God made a dry land out of the sea for his people to pass through. Psalm 66, verse 6. And in contrast, God made the dry land to overflow with water to save his people from thirst. God commanded Moses to strike the rock, and water came out of the rock for the people to drink. Exodus chapter 17, verse 6. Today's miracle happened after the miracle of the feedings of the crowds with 5 loaves. Jesus had sent his disciples ahead of him by boat, and he stayed behind to dismiss the crowds. The same crowds whom he healed, and he had satisfied their hunger. When the disciples obeyed Jesus' command to enter the boat, they did not anticipate that they were going to witness the revelation of even more signs of Jesus' divinity. They had seen his divine side by feeding the crowds the same way God did in the Old Testament and fed the Israelites in the wilderness. And now, this time, Jesus' divinity was revealed through his sovereignty over the waters. This miracle brought remembrance to the disciples' mind of the prophecy of the book of Psalms about God walking over the waters. Your way was through the sea, your path through the great waters, yet your footprints were unseen, says Psalm 77, verse 19. Jesus walked on the waters to meet his disciples who were already in the endangered boat in the middle of the sea. The boat in the Bible is a symbolic image. The boat represents the church, that sails in the sea of life, protected by God from the outside element. The boat, those that are in the boat represent those that are saved by God, just as the case was in the Ark of Noah. In the most unexpected way, Jesus came to the rescue of his disciples who were facing dangerous storm. He came walking to them calmly on the stormy waters of the boat, the stormy waters of the sea that almost sank their boat. The disciples, who represent all Christians, discovered that they were not left alone. They were not left on their own to face the danger of the windy waters. The timing of Jesus coming to meet his disciples is interesting. It was around the same time that his arrest took place in the garden before his crucifixion. In both cases, the disciples thought, in both cases, they thought they were left alone. They were left without help. They believed they were going to face the danger without the help of the Lord. However, in both cases, they discovered that the Lord is ever present with them. Ever present with them. This is an essential lesson which all Christians ought to remember and to comprehend. Through this miracle, Jesus gave the disciples, and through them, all of the Christians, us as well, the example of his faithful assurance. The Lord did not promise the church calm and easy task throughout her mission in the world. The Lord did not promise the faithful that their Christian calling was going to be an easy commitment. On the contrary, Jesus cautioned the disciples that there will be tribulations in the world against the church and hardship in their personal lives. I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In me you may have peace. In this world you will have troubles, but take heart. I have overcome the world. I have overcome the world. Jesus said to his disciples in the Gospel of Apostle John, chapter 16, verse 33. The Lord wanted the disciples to know with certainty that he is ever present with them, even when he is invisible. Jesus wanted to encourage them and us. Take heart. It is I. Have no fear, Jesus told the disciples as he walked on the water, coming to them on the boat today in Matthew chapter 14, verse 27. Have no fear is the assurance of Jesus today to you and to everyone who is searching for the true peace. This is Jesus' assurance to everyone that is searching for the true peace. Everyone who is facing fearful and scary tribulations of life should know that in Jesus the true peace can be found. Regardless of the size of the fearful tribulation or their type or their intensity that threatens the faithful or threatens the church. The Lord Jesus Christ is the sure anchor and the true peace of the human soul. He rescued me from my powerful enemy, from my foes who were too strong for me, says the Psalm 18, verse 16. If you are, or if your family is facing challenging sicknesses, depression, tyrannical addiction, or whatever else, do not be terrified. Call upon the Lord Jesus Christ, just as Apostle Peter did today. Jesus is the healer and the source of comfort. If your financial distress is weighing heavily on you, do not lose heart. Raise your voice in fervent prayer, just as the Apostle Peter did as he was sinking today. Jesus is the salvation, because the Lord is the source of the entire creation. Don't you think that God, who created this entire universe, can take care of your financial distress? If you are facing a loss of work, a loss of home, a loss of loved ones, be at peace. Learn from the example of the Apostle Peter. Jesus Christ is the provider. He is the shelter. He is the true comfort of our souls and our bodies. Jesus will come to your aid whenever the situation is beyond your abilities or your strength. Peter is the image of every Christian that is endangered by the tribulation of life. Jesus commanded Peter at his request to come to him on the waters. Jesus wanted Peter to get assurance, the assurance he needed to strengthen his faith. The example of Peter crying out to the Lord for help when he doubted, when he became weak, when his faith wavered, is a powerful example. Jesus is faithful to his promise, as the prophecy of the Holy Bible reveals. He reached down from on high and took hold of me. He drew me out of the deep waters, says Psalm 18, verse 16. Jesus rescued Peter, showing us the example of how he rescues everyone that calls out for his help. Everyone and anyone that calls upon Jesus for help, Jesus will rescue him. Do not let the dangerous life situation drown you. Do not waste one single moment. Call upon the Lord and say, as David did. David the prophet said, Save me, O God, for the waters have come upon my neck. Psalm 69, verse 1. Apostle Peter, many years after, he wrote to the Christians to encourage them, and he said, "Beloved, do not think it's strange concerning the fiery trials which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened to you. But rejoice. Rejoice to the extent that you partake of Christ's sufferings, that when his glory is revealed, you may be also glad with exceeding joy. The tribulation, the temptations, the hardship, the struggles that God sent our way, whatever they are, if we take them with thanksgiving and trust in the assurance of Christ that we are not alone, they will produce great blessing to our lives and open the eyes of our understanding and make us see that God is always invisibly there for us, our anchor, our protector, our shelter, and we are never ever going to be in need, or we're going to be without help, or we are going to be left alone to the element to take advantage of us. Thank you very much.